YouTube channel. If you're new here, then thanks for stopping by. If you're a returning subscriber, then you guys know I love you so much. I just want to start off by saying thank you. I'm actually overwhelmed with all the questions and love that I've been getting towards this whole application process. And I just want to thank you guys for your constant support. I just want to apologize as well that it took this long for this video to get uploaded. And it's mostly because, you know, life is happening. I'm trying to run a business. I am being a mom and I work full time. So it's very hard to fit it in between, but it's all getting done and that's what matters. So let's jump right into it. I don't want to waste any time because the whole application is quite long. And you know, I don't want to rush it because at the same time you guys need to take your time, make sure that you're checking over your answers, because if you do provide the wrong answers for a question, once you reach the payment point, there is no way you can take this back. And if you want to correct something that you've written that is wrong or needs editing for whatever reason, then you'd have to cancel the entire application and wait for a refund if you haven't got the money to like do it rapidly there and then. But you'd have to wait for a refund and then apply all over again. So we don't want that. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to jump right into it. I'm going to share my screen with you guys and get started. For those who are unable to find the online application link, I'm going to be leaving that in the description box. Once you click on that link, you're going to scroll down to where it says apply online from outside the UK, because obviously that's where the person must be applying from. Once you've selected that, you're then asked if it's a child or a partner, and obviously you'd need to choose partner. On the next page, you're supposed to select what country you're applying from and then confirm if a biometric enrollment location is available in that country. On the next page, you're given a series of information such as the requirements that your partner must meet, how long you can stay once it's been approved, and what you need in order to fill out the application. The first thing that they're going to ask you for is an email that you can use to log back into your application if you ever need to save and come back to it at a later point. And obviously you want to create a password that you're going to be able to remember quite easily. I'm just going to be going ahead and write any email, guys, just for example purposes, but do ensure that your login that you're writing right now is something that you're going to be able to remember if need be. You're then asked if this email belongs to you, and obviously I did use my husband's email, so I just clicked yes and move on. Just like the email, you're then asked for a telephone number that you would like to use as your corresponding telephone number throughout the online application. And as I said before, for example purposes, I'm just writing any random number. You obviously get the option to choose if you want to add an additional number, and I did in fact add my UK number, but just for example purposes, guys, I'm just going to go ahead and click no. You're then asked if you'd like to be contacted by telephone or text message or both, and we click both. On this part of the application, you're then asked to provide the details of the applicant, who is my husband, and so you want to make sure that when you're filling it out, this includes the applicant's details and not yourself. You're then asked to declare any other name that the applicant might have. Then using your passport as reference, you'd have to fill out the other information about the applicant, such as their sex and marital status. The address that you're supposed to provide in this section is actually the address that the applicant is now currently staying at. And that would be an address that is not exactly inside the UK. You then ask if you'd like to use this address as your corresponding address, but we did in fact use my London address as the corresponding address, and so I clicked no and then went ahead and add my UK address. They then ask for more specific information surrounding the address that you've just provided, such as how long the applicant has lived there, the ownership status of the home, and so forth. Then you're asked to provide travel document details such as the passport number, issuing authority for that passport, as well as the expiry date of the applicant, so the person who is applying to come to the UK. My husband doesn't hold an identity card, and so we just clicked no and moved on from this one. You then ask about the nationality of the applicant, so the country where they were born, the place of birth, as well as their date of birth. You then ask if that individual holds any other nationality and my husband don't, so we clicked no and moved on. You're then asked to provide a specific date that you'd like to arrive in the UK. You guys do want to make sure that you bear in mind there's a 12-week processing time. So when you're calculating, please do this carefully. You're then asked what language you speak fluently and if this is your preferred language, and obviously we chose English. On the next section, you're asked to declare any children that the applicant might have, whether they are traveling with them or not, or whether they live with them or not. If the applicant does have more than one child, then you're expected to declare all of them. But for example purposes, guys, I'm just going to go ahead and click no and move on with the application. You're then asked to provide information about the applicant's parents, both mother and father, their name and date of birth and nationality. Please do double check that you are writing in the correct information for the selected parent. They then ask if you know where you'll be staying when you arrive in the UK, and obviously my husband will be staying at my address, so that was the address that was provided. Guys, please remember that it is just example purposes that I've put in any of these details, so don't turn up to the people that mouse. They then ask for you to provide any other accommodation that you be staying at whilst in the UK, and obviously my husband won't be staying anywhere else, so we just went ahead and clicked no and moved on to the next question. You're now asked to provide any travel history. My husband has not traveled before, and so all of these questions surrounding travel history, our answers were simply no. But obviously, if it's different for you and your partner have in fact traveled, then you clearly need to provide the relevant information surrounding that. On this specific questions, you're asked about any conviction or penalties that the applicant might have. And my husband just happens to be a sweetheart. So our answer is no to all of the multiple choice questions. And we just moved on. Here you're given a series of information surrounding war crime, terrorist activities, and extremist views. And obviously we clicked no to all of this, but guys, please do read through it. I'm just going to assume that all my viewers are good people, and so our answers are going to be no to all of these questions. You're then given a list of government job roles that your partner might or might not have worked at before. And obviously, you'd have to answer this question accordingly. On this section, you're going to be given information surrounding the sponsor, which is myself in this case. So name, date of birth, nationality, and so forth. You're then asked to provide more information as to why you do not live with your partner, and it's very plain and simple. I've just put in the box that me and my husband had spent our adult life living in separate countries because that's the truth and that's as clear as it can get. You're then asked to provide further information surrounding your marriage. So if you, the applicant, have been married or in a civil partnership with anyone else, or if you're currently married or in a civil partnership with anyone else. The next question, you're expected to confirm if your spouse is the sponsor of your application. Obviously, I am, so we clicked yes and moved on. They then asked for the relationship with the sponsor, and obviously I'm his wife, so I clicked wife and moved on. You then ask if there's any home office reference numbers that they should be aware of, and then you have to provide your spouse national insurance number. I did try a couple times, guys, to write a random national insurance number, but they didn't allow me to, so I just clicked that there was none, moved on. You're then asked to provide the email address and telephone number of your spouse. Guys, please remember these are just random digits. Using your spouse's passport, you're just going to go ahead and fill in the relevant documents such as the passport number, issuing authority, and so forth. In this section, you then ask a further series of questions surrounding your relationship with the sponsor, such as if you guys have physically met, when you first met each other, and when your relationship began. You then ask how often you get to see your spouse and when you last saw them. Please, guys, please remember the dates that you are putting in. Make note of them if you can't remember them, because you're going to rely on the same information when filling out your Appendix 2 form and you're asked the same questions. You're then asked to provide the language that your spouse speaks fluently and the language that you guys mostly use to communicate with each other. Following this, a further series of questions is then asked about your marriage, such as the date that you guys got married, where you got married, as well as the type of ceremony which you guys had. And for us, it was a religious ceremony. So we just basically wrote that. Then asked to declare any previous partner that your spouse might have had and any children that they currently have. But for example purposes, guys, I'm just going to go ahead, click no, and move on. As well as that, you're asked to declare any shared financial responsibilities that you guys do have together. And obviously we do share childcare costs, but for example purposes, once again, I'm clicking no and move on. You then ask about where you and your partner intend on living, and that would then come up with the address that you provided earlier in the application. They ask if your spouse actually owns the property or not, and how many bedrooms are in the property. Now you're given the opportunity, guys, to go over all your answers. Please check them thoroughly and make sure that all your numbers and spelling are correct. The first question that they ask is surrounding if your spouse receives any benefits that is in line with the carers or disability allowances. And obviously I don't receive any of those, so we clicked no. You're then asked to declare if the sponsor is sponsoring any additional children during this application, and obviously I'm not, so we clicked no and move on. Here you're given the financial requirement that you have to meet as a part of your application. You then ask how you intend on meeting the financial requirements, and in our case it was based on spouse income, and so we clicked my wife's employment and moved on. You're then asked to provide the current job title of the sponsor, the type of employment that it is, when that employment starts, and further information. But guys, go through it very thoroughly, read all the questions properly before selecting. When putting in your annual income, guys, I will double check to make sure that this is actually in line with the job letter that you need to provide, as well as your pay slips. So double check these things before you actually answer this question, because you will need to be able to prove that later on in the application. And the next series of question is surrounding the employer. So you'd have to provide the name of the employer, company address, telephone number, and email. If need be, guys, you're asked if you would like to add an additional employer. If you are working more than one job, so you're capable of doing so by clicking yes, but obviously I don't, so I went ahead and clicked no and moved on. If you have in fact worked 2 jobs in the last 12 months and your current job is less than 6 months, but if you combine both the previous job as well as your current job over a 12-month period, you do meet the 18,600 financial requirement, then you might want to click yes for this answer when it asks if you would like to add any previous job from within the 12 months as a part of your application. Guys, once again, you're given the option to check over all your answers that you provided throughout the financial part of the application. Guys, so now we've reached the document section where you're going to be given a list of supporting documents as well as a list of mandatory documents that you need to provide as a part of your application. So you're just going to go ahead, click all those documents, because whether or not you like it, you need to provide all of those. And then go on to declaration, where you're going to confirm if you are over the age of 18 and accept the terms and condition and so forth. You're then going to be moving on to the pay section, where you're able to complete the purchase for the health surcharge and so forth. But I'm going to leave it right here, guys. Please remember that once you've paid for the application fee as well as the health surcharge, you cannot change your answers. And so you want to make sure that you, at this point, that you go over all your questions and all your answers about 3-4 times and make sure that everything is correct before you pay for the health surcharge. Because once you do that, there is no coming back. So that is it for the online application walkthrough. I hope this video was very, very helpful. And if you do have any further questions, then guys, feel free to hit me up on any of my social media accounts at Mons Monroe. and I am happy to answer any question that I can, as truthful as I can. But I do want you guys to bear in mind that, you know, every single person's application is unique in its own way. So what works for me might not work for you, and I don't want to put it out there that this is exactly what you need to do in order to get approved, because that is not exactly true. So if your case is complicated, like I've mentioned in previous videos, please do seek professional help from a solicitor, immigration advisor, or anyone along that industry who could properly assist you. So thanks guys for tuning in. Please like, share, and comment on this video if it was helpful for you in any way, because that really do help my channel to grow and get it out to other people like yourself who this might be beneficial to. So see you guys in my next video, where we're going to be speaking about the VFS Global appointment, so the biometric appointment that my husband had to attend before he actually got his visa. So yeah, I'll see you guys in my next video. Love all the time, guys. Be safe and enjoy the warm weather as it come out if you're living in London. But yeah, enjoy the warm weather, and I'll see you guys in my next video.